From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. 47 years ago, 3 men from Boulder set out on a journey to make the first ever crossing of Colorado on skis. The 3 amateur skiers carved a continuous line across the state, covering 490 miles of rugged backcountry from Durango to northeast of Fort Collins.
There wasn't somebody else telling us the correct way to do this, that we were putting it together ourselves. How do you sleep? How do you eat? How do you move? What's on your feet? What's your hat like? We weren't doing anything by the book. There was no book.
A new documentary tells the story of their remarkable trek and the lasting impact it had on Colorado's outdoor recreation community. Moving Line will be shown at the Breckenridge Film Festival next week. Ahead of that, I sat down with the film's director, Cameron Wyatt. So, Cameron, I have to say, I had never heard of this expedition before. And I'm curious why these 3 men, Alex, Peter, and John, decided to make this journey in the first place. I mean, was it just for fun or to challenge themselves, or did they have a more lofty goal?
I don't think they set out to accomplish this as the first crossing of Colorado. I think they were passionate skiers who just wanted to do something challenging. As much fun as the actual skiing was, I know, at least for Alex, the challenge of route finding and creating this new route through Colorado was just as exciting for them.
Let's talk about how they planned and prepared for this journey. In the film, traveling light was the theme. What did that look like for them?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable because 45 years ago, the sport of backcountry skiing was just really getting started. And a lot of the super ultra light technology that is available now was not available back then.
Sure.
So the fact that they were able to cross Colorado 490 miles with 20 pounds on their back is really remarkable. They didn't have a change of clothing. They had one tent that they would all sleep in, and they only slept in it if it was snowing.
Wow.
And they saved a lot of weight by not carrying all their food with them. They accomplished that by burying 19 cache buckets across their route in the snow, which they would ski between and stock up at each cache bucket.
Yeah, they set out to do that in vehicles before they left on this expedition, right?
Yeah, exactly. They drove the route from Boulder to Durango and deposited these cache buckets along the way.
Weren't they worried about people finding them and taking the food?
Yeah, I think that was a concern of theirs. And in order to prevent that, they had stickers made and they put on the caches saying, "Please don't mess with this. Our lives depend on it." And unfortunately, 2 of their caches went missing along the expedition. And we talk about that in the film too.
Well, the film has so many incredible photos in it. The 3 men did have cameras, although no one was out there with them filming, right? How did that shape the way you approached making this documentary?
Yeah, they took hundreds of photos throughout their expedition and lent a source of imagery for us in the filmmaking process that we could show firsthand what this journey looked like for them.
What's an example of one of these places in the backcountry where a photo stood out as being especially striking?
I think any place where they were above tree line is not somewhere that humans had probably commonly gone in the winter in Colorado. So for them to trek back into the rugged high alpine in Colorado in the winter and be able to snap a photo is pretty unique.
I have trouble taking a photo with my cell phone when my hands are cold. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, Alex says something in one of our interviews, and he says, when you're outside for days and weeks on end in the cold, you get so used to it, you don't even notice.
Well, I want to listen to another clip from the film here. We'll hear Alex and then John talking about the very first day out, where they had climbed 3,000 feet up to a high ridge, and then they got hit by a strong blizzard.
The wind whips up the snow during a blizzard, And so the visibility can go down to absolute zero.
To not fall over, you have to look at your feet as you're walking with wind, and it's like being in outer space or something.
They ran into a few other problems besides that one day of bad weather. What kind of adversity did they have to deal with?
Well, one that stands out is they all got really sick. They all got giardia from drinking from a stream that they think was polluted by cattle in the summertime.
Oh.
And in particular for Alex, it got so bad that he had to basically evacuate himself and ski down to the nearest town and check himself into the hospital.
Whoa.
And he spent the night in the hospital where he had this dream where he was facing his giardia, basically. And he ordered the giardia to leave the room. And when he woke up the next day, he felt perfectly fine, put his skis back on, and rejoined the trip.
Just ski yourself right to the emergency room. Goodness.
Yeah, that worked for them that time.
Cameron, the film notes that their expedition ultimately helped shape the Colorado Trail, which today is some 567 miles of hiking trail across the state. How did their trek factor into what the trail looks like today?
Yeah, in 1978, the construction of the Colorado Trail was ongoing. It started in 1974, and they basically had picked out a start and an end for it, and were working on meeting those points in the middle.
Sure.
In 1978, around that time, they had kind of run out of money. And a woman named Goody Gaskell stepped in, and she really rolled up her sleeves and kind of took charge of the Colorado Trail. And through kind of a grassroots campaign, recruited hundreds of volunteers, hosted bake sales, just anything that she could do. The Colorado Trail is not a winter trail like this route was, but the two trails are very similar in their design. And we know that Goody Gaskell and Alexander Drummond, the lead member of the expedition, were in communication after the expedition was done. So they were a good resource for the Colorado Trail in that development.
Cameron, what surprised you the most as you kind of dug into these old photos and learned about the expedition?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that surprised me the most was going back to your first question of how they were able to accomplish this by traveling so light. And I think about when I go on a 2-day backpack trip and I carry 40 pounds of gear on my back in the summer. And these guys were able to survive for 6 weeks in the snow with 20 pounds on their back. It's amazing.
Cameron Wyatt directed the film Moving Line, which documents the first ever crossing of Colorado on skis by 3 men from Boulder in 1978. The film will be shown at the Breckenridge Film Festival Saturday, September 18th, and will screen tomorrow in Salida. We'll have details in our show notes and at KUNC.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. We'll be back on Tuesday with a new episode. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.